It is another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the 3 films released on April 10th, 2009. And let's just say that this week's movies are very interesting, to say the least. It says a lot when the one that does not have the most confusing and most troubling production or just the film in general is our first movie that we have here, and that is Hannah Montana, the movie.
I would so love these.
I saw these first. Do you know who I am?
Well, I know you know who I am. You're my shoes.
For one girl, 2 worlds has become too much.
Is it always this crazy?
You have no idea.
Now,
Welcome to Tennessee. Saddle up. I want to show you what you're missing.
she'll have to choose between the life she's always dreamed of and the life she never got to have.
I never expected to love it here so much. I'm tired of living a double life. It's always gonna be another mountain. I'm always gonna wanna make it move.
I think you should do whatever you think is right.
Sometimes you're gonna have to love. Think about what's waiting on the other
Hannah Montana, the movie. Rated G. Directed by Peter Chelson. Featuring 14 new songs, including new music by Taylor Swift and Miley Cyrus's smash hit, The Climb.
Ooh, I want a cowboy. Sorry, that one's taken.
Only in theaters April 10th.
I know, crazy world, right? This is, of course, based off the Disney Channel TV series Hannah Montana, and, of course, comes a year after the Best of Both Worlds concert was a big surprise success nobody really saw coming, and eventually led into this movie that we have here, which is, of course, a continuation of the series, as I said before, and it follows Miley Stewart's popularity and alternate celebrity persona beginning to take over her life. As you see in the trailer, she gets into a shoe fight with Tyra Banks, which seems really weird in general. Like, that's the thing that causes her dad to be like, okay, we gotta take you away from this. And that's literally what happens. Her father convinces her to take a trip to her hometown of Crowley Corners, Tennessee, to get some perspective on what matters most in life. And basically she has to make the decision to whether or not to be just Miley Stewart or stay as Hannah Montana forever. And I'll give the film this. As somebody who has never been a fan of the television series or even watched an episode, I didn't really hate the film in general. I would honestly go as far as to say I kind of enjoyed it. I'm not going to say it's a great movie by any means necessary. It's no classic, but I didn't hate it. I thought it was actually kind of tolerable. I thought it was actually kind of a decent film. And it really did show that, hey, Miley Cyrus has some potential as an actress, even though she never really fully lived up to it. She was in a couple of other movies that came after this that weren't really successful, but you could tell that she does have a charismatic acting ability in this. We saw it in Bolt the previous holiday season. I mean, yeah, she clearly has the range to be a pretty good actress overall. And the story is very compelling, even for somebody that, like me, who has never watched the television series and can't really get into the storyline here. I mean, it works because everybody's playing their parts very well. Her father's pretty good in this, playing the father in the role they have here. You've got characters played by Margot Martindale and Melora Hardin are pretty good in this. The songs overall are decent. I mean, there's nothing really bad about the film per se. I mean, it is what it is, and I like the fact that the film doesn't bullshit you with the will she, won't she thing. No, she makes a decision at the end, and then the way they resolve it at the end, I thought actually kind of worked pretty well. I was actually kind of surprised at how charming and how really heartfelt that actually was. It's a legitimately decent movie. It's not a classic movie by any means necessary, but it's one of those ones that you gotta go into it knowing that it's got to go into it with the right mindset is what I'm trying to say here. And me going into it, giving it a chance, I was actually kind of impressed by it. I think it's because of this director, Peter Chelson, who has made pretty good movies in the past. He did Shall We Dance, and he also did Serendipity, and I mean, he's a pretty good director overall, and I think because of him, I think that elevates this movie to a level where I could say, I could say that it's decent. It's not a classic by any means necessary, but it's a decently made film. I think, obviously, fans of the television series will get more out of it, but for someone like me coming into it relatively fresh and unknown, I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was that bad of a movie overall. It's not a classic, not one I'm going to watch over and over again, but I'm glad I got to saw it. I'm glad I could actually say the words right. I'm glad I got to see it. I'm not going to say it's a classic by any means necessary, but it is what it is, so take that for what you will. But like I said, Would you believe that that's the one that doesn't have the most conflicting opinions on this show this week? Because case in point with our next movie, Seth Rogen starring in the second mall cop movie of 2009, which is Observe and Report.
Lorber, he's coming back quick and he's coming back hard.
I'm gonna be just fine.
Everyone thinks they're fine until someone puts something in them they don't want in them.
On April 10th,
I swear I'm gonna catch this guy.
he's doing it for the job,
This guy did it. No lo entiendo. What did he say? I don't know. I don't speak Spanish.
for the girl,
I did not think you partied like
I
that.
party like this every 4 to 6 hours.
for the glory.
I'm so proud of you.
You're just drunk, boy.
Your sister's father.
Observe and Report.
Come on.
Rated R.
I mean, obviously, this is definitely the better of the two mall cop movies. I would take this over Paul Blart any day of the week. And I liked the movie back when it came out. Nowadays, though, not so much. I mean, I don't hate it. I don't think it's a great movie overall. I think it definitely has a ton of flaws to it. And so much so to the point that even Seth Rogen has even said that he was very disappointed by the overall result of the film. But he plays a mentally unstable vigilante mall cop who attempts to join the police academy and pursue a flasher tormenting female visitors to the mall where he works at. And he's got a love interest played by Anna Faris, and he's got a cop on his butt played by Ray Liotta. You have Michael Pena, Patton Oswalt. This is directed by the same guy who did The Foot Fist Way. And coincidentally, Danny McBride is in here too. He was also in that movie, and of course, these two would later work together on Eastbound and Down, which are very funny movies in general and work for the raunchy humor that they're trying to do there. Here, the raunchy humor is more missed than hit. I mean, I liked it back when it came out, but watching it again recently, I really looked at it and thought to myself, yeah, this is definitely one that does not hold up well over time. In fact, a lot of it really isn't all that funny or all that intriguing whatsoever. Now, there are a couple things that I will defend the movie for. There's one scene in particular that everyone kind of has a problem with, and that's the date rape being used for comedy. And yeah, rape is not really a funny subject in general, but I'll give it this. For what they did here with this, the scene in the trailer where Anna Faris and Seth Rogen are having sex, and Seth Rogen stops, and Anna Faris is just like, "What are you stopping for, motherfucker?" And like, that's a funny scene. Like, that's one of the. I'll give it that. That's a funny scene in general. For the context of what that scene is in particular, I got to give it credit for that. I thought that was pretty funny, and like I said, it's not for everybody, and it's not even like one of the great scenes in general with this, but like great scenes of comedy in general. It's just, I didn't hate it as much as everybody else did. I think a lot of people is notable, which rightfully so. They do. It is something where you have to have an acquired taste for it. I mean, it's kind of like when you watch the movie Death to Smoochy. You need to have an acquired taste to appreciate some of the darkness of it. And I like the dark comedy in general. I just like dark comedy in general, man. War of the Roses is one of my favorite dark black comedies of all time, and this one gets away with it at times, but it doesn't stick the landing most of the time. And I think that's one of the biggest flaws with the film, watching it again. A lot of the jokes in here just don't really play that well. They're not really that funny overall. Like, there's times when the movie will just stop for a pointless comedy scene. Like, Danny McBride's cameo in this movie, for example, is a perfect example of that. Like, he has a scene in here, you think it's going to be something much funnier and much more clever, and it really is not. It's literally, he's there for 5 minutes and then he's gone. He's out of the movie in general. Even the subplot with Ray Liotta isn't really all that impressive overall, and it gets raunchy for the sake of being raunchy, and most times it works, but other times not so much. And it just, I don't know. It's a movie that is a very, very mixed bag of a movie. I still give it credit for what it was trying to do, and I don't hate it overall, but it's definitely not the great movie that I thought it was 16 years ago. I thought it was a much better movie back then. Now that time has passed, I could definitely see a lot more flaws to it overall, but yeah, like I said, it's still the better mall cop movie we got in 2009, so I guess I gotta give it that. But other than that, though, I don't think I'm ever gonna watch this movie again in general. Overall, mixed, but mostly leaning towards bordering on a thumbs down, but bordering on a thumbs up too. That's where I'm kind of at with this movie right now. Give it another 16 years, and I'll probably hate it even more. But with that said, let's go ahead and get into, this next one is a beauty. I mean, this last one we have here is a beauty. And now, I am not a Dragon Ball Z fan, or Dragon Ball fan in general, but let me tell you something. Dragon Ball Evolution may be one of the most insulting things I've ever seen in a long, long time, and that's saying a lot.
All he wanted was to fit in.
What are you doing here, Kino? I'm not looking for any trouble.
See ya. But he's about to discover a power
Did you do that?
that's part of a prophecy
You're different. I like different.
that will decide the fate of mankind. Dragon Ball Evolution.
You got a couple of dings in your car.
Rated PG.
But quite frankly, I don't see why this movie fails so miserably. I mean, can't you just look at that and see that, yeah, that's Dragon Ball Z, right? That's how the Dragon Ball franchise is supposed to go, right? Right? No. No, of course it isn't. And like I said, I've never seen an episode of Dragon Ball in my life, but let me tell you something. As someone like me who is relatively unknown to the series, even I can tell you that this movie is fucking atrocious. This is one of the biggest insults to a franchise I have ever seen in my entire life. This is right up there with The Last Airbender for one of the worst adaptations you will ever see in your entire life. In the film, the teenager Goku, played by Justin Chatwin, because he clearly looks like Goku, am I right? Am I right? Reveals his past and sets out to fight the evil alien warlord Lord Piccolo, played by James Marsters, who wishes to gain the powerful Dragon Balls and use them to take over Earth. Goku has a grandfather who's basically the Mr. Miyagi of the movie. He's got a crush on Chi-Chi, played by Jamie Chung. And there's another character that comes in, Bulma, played by Emmy Rossum, which, by the way, great ADR work on her, by the way. Tell me if you think that this is great ADR work or not.
If I was the Piccolo, whatever that is, I wouldn't tell you. And if I did kill your grandfather, I would have shot you by now. Somebody stole my Promethean orb, and I'm here to get it back.
Flawless. Like, you can't tell at all that Emmy Rossum didn't say that line on the set, and they used bad ADR on her. And the worst part about it is, like, this movie is an insult to the two of them, Justin Chatwin and Emmy Rossum, especially when you consider that Shameless came out 2 years later and showed that, hey, these two are actually capable actors, and they have good chemistry together. But here, oh my god, this movie is an insult to the series in general. They take the world of Dragon Ball and turn it into this lame CWS TV series where Goku is the geeky nerd who gets beat up by all these bullies, these these terrible high school bullies. Like, every character in this movie has been reduced down to characters that are nothing like they are in the anime, and like, it's ridiculous. It's unbelievable how bad this is. The only person who even comes close, two people in particular come close to who they are in the anime. James Marsters as Piccolo, and Chow Yun-Fat, who plays Master Roshi. They're the only two who are literally trying to save whatever dignity this movie has left, but it's not helped when all the acting in this movie is absolutely horrible and they're given nothing to do. Justin Chatwin has lines in this movie where he's trying so hard to be menacing and threatening, and it just isn't working. This is like watching Mila Jovovich in Ultraviolet. It's like, honey, you ain't saving this movie. And I'll say the same thing to Justin Chatwin. Honey, you ain't saving this garbage, no matter how hard you try. Like, this movie is a friggin' insult, man. And, it's amazing that someone at 20th Century Fox, probably Tom Rothman, if we're being honest with you, not only decided, we are so confident that this is going to be so successful that this is supposed to be the first in a series. We're going to see a lot more of these movies down the road. In fact, we're going to be so clever about this that we're going to release this movie on a Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday, April 8th, this movie was released. Like, they were really believing that this was going to be a successful film, and just, no, it was not that at all. And, yeah, the film may have made money overall. It may have made back that $30 million budget back thanks to worldwide releases, but it's one of the worst movies ever made. It's a film that is the prime example of what you don't do with an anime to cinema adaptation, and it would take 8 years actually, for somebody else to try to pull this bullshit again with Ghost in the Shell. And naturally, that didn't work out very well either, and that's a lie, because Last Airbender came out the year before, the year after this, but you get the idea. You get the whole idea altogether. Like, and the worst part about it is, this is not a hack director. This is James Wong. James Wong directed the Final Destination movies, 1 and 3. And he's a capable director. I mean, this is a guy that has worked on the X-Files. This is not a hack director whatsoever. It's so bad that I can't even talk straight right now. Does anyone have a Ricola? Okay, I'm back now. But then again, we probably should have been warned about this from the get-go, when the fact that the writer of this movie, Ben Ramsey, also wrote such classic movies as The Big Hit. Remember that one with Mark Wahlberg and Christina Applegate from 1998? And also Love and a Bullet, that wonderful, wonderful movie starring Tretch of Naughty by Nature. God, this movie was an abysmal mess. I mean, they had the balls to have a post-credits scene suggesting that this was going to be a sequel in general, and just no. No, you are never going to sell this movie to anybody in particular. I would not be shocked at all if this slate in 2009 was the reason Tom Rothman got fired, because Fox, they've already fucked up Street Fighter, they fucked up Dragon Ball, and don't worry, because in 2 weeks' time, they're going to fuck up Wolverine too, with X-Men Origins Wolverine. I mean, Fox was in a bad state in 2008 and 2009, and this is just the tip of the iceberg of how bad this company went so downhill. And it's like you look at these movies, and it's just like, no wonder Disney decided to grab your ass 8 years later, because you know what, they're having much better success now than they had in that last couple of years of Tom Rothman's era at Fox, but. So what have we learned here, ladies and gentlemen? We have learned that you can't do this to a beloved anime, no matter who you are, no matter what we've worked on before, and what you think is going to be successful. Don't ever do what Dragon Ball Evolution did in general here. And I think this is one of the reasons why these anime adaptations are becoming more sparse than ever, even though we've had The Last Airbender, which comes out the next year, and Ghost in the Shell, and now they're still talking about doing a live-action Akira movie, which I don't want them to do that by any means necessary, unless you're getting Michael B. Jordan to direct that movie. That's the only reason. That's the only way that movie's ever going to work. You get some hack director like if you try to pull that stunt that Twisters did, where they just got a director who had never directed a blockbuster before, but fuck it, you've been nominated for an Academy Award. You're more than capable of directing a blockbuster, and it fails miserably. If that happens, then there's no hope for humanity. There's no hope for that movie whatsoever. The overall lesson I'm trying to tell you is that you should avoid Dragon Ball Evolution like the plague. It is one of the worst movies of the year. One of the worst movies of all time. It's an insult to the Dragon Ball series in general. And I'll just finish it with this. This movie was so terrible that the original creator of Dragon Ball, Akira Toriyama, literally came out of retirement to make a new Dragon Ball series to make people forget about this garbage movie. This movie is so terrible, they had to bring the original creator back to do a new series to make people realize that, hey, Dragon Ball's still pretty awesome. Like, same thing happened with The Last Airbender. Avatar The Last Airbender had just ended a few years ago, and then because The Last Airbender failed, the original creators came back and gave us The Legend of Korra, which is still a great series, a great spin-off. And I think there could be a good live-action Dragon Ball movie made if you got a good scriptwriter and not some hack writer whose other works included a film starring the dude from Naughty by Nature and a Mark Wahlberg garbage fest from '98. I mean, I think I pretty much summed up everything wrong with this movie. Dragon Ball Evolution is a steaming pile of garbage, and you should avoid it like the plague. That was a lovely week of movies, wouldn't you agree? So that's going to wrap this up, this edition of Time About the Movies. But the next time we meet, we have a much better week in store here. And thank God, because, man, that took a nosedive pretty quickly after the first movie. Like, who would have guessed Hannah Montana was the best movie released that weekend? But next time around, we actually have 3 really good movies overall. Zac Efron breaking out of the High School Musical game to star in 17 Again, which also features Matthew Perry among its cast. And also State of Play, which also features a star-studded cast that includes Ben Affleck. I thought Russell Crowe was also in it too. I had to check again. But yeah, he's in it too. So was Rachel McAdams, Helen Mirren, Jason Bateman, Robin Wright, and Jeff Daniels. We'll take a look at that one. And we'll also take a look at Crank High Voltage, the sequel to the 2006 Jason Statham movie, with him and Amy Smart back on board, as well as Mark Neverdeen and Brian Taylor. So those movies are definitely going to be a whole lot better than the ones we talked about this week for sure. But we'll check those out tomorrow. But with all that said, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. If you liked it and want to see more like this, please go ahead and hit the playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode. Also, don't forget to hit that like button, the subscribe button, notification button, and the bell. That's where we get updates on new videos when they come out, and we do post new videos here every day. But wait, there's more, because coming up on Time About the Movies Flashback, we're going back to the middle of May 1987 with, we just talked about one of the biggest bombs of all time. Here's another one, Ishtar, with Dustin Hoffman and Warren Beatty. And we also have the horror film The Gate. So we're going to take a look at both of those movies coming up on Time About the Movies Flashback, which will be posted after I post this up here. So please stick around, because we will be right back with more after this.